Cool.
Hey there, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of TXR Podcast. This is specifically episode number 127, your favorite place for talk on all things Xbox related and so much more from around the game industry. I'm your host, Invader, and I hope everyone tuning in is doing well and keeping hunkered down wherever you are. Pop a cold one and get ready to listen to the panel crew discuss tonight's topics. But before we do that, let me introduce everybody on the panel. Hey, Tim Dog. Tim, man, how you been doing? We missed you last weekend.
Yeah. Happy to be here. Nice week to talk about some video games, some Xbox. It's been pretty crazy, but just weathering through it. Glad that we have these shows that we can keep the people at least entertained for a little bit of time. And, let's get to it this week.
Absolutely, man. You got it. Megatron, hey, it's great to have you back, of course. How's things going at your end?
Yo, everything's going good on my end, man. Ready to talk some gaming stuff. A lot to talk about, so let's get going.
Yeah, you got it, man. Jeremy, buddy, how's things over in the mountains?
Good, man. Some technical difficulties, but I'm back. So I let my daughter have the laptop I use as a second. So I tried cramming everything into the laptop. I have two laptops connected, so it wasn't working. The first one wasn't working, so I had to go grab the one I gave her and use it.
Well, being a good dad right there. Let's see, moving on. Centurion, how's things in sunny Phoenix?
Still sunny. Getting very quiet, unusually quiet, but it's all good. Still chilling here in my house, tackling the backlog life, playing a bunch of games, and looking forward to tonight's show and talking about some games.
Yeah, brother, definitely. And Shock, how's the beer run going?
Not so successful, but enjoying. I just jumped into some Metro because I noticed some other games were leaving Game Pass. Not that one yet, but I was like, oh wait, it's coming up on a year, so I better finish that before it goes. And RE3 I picked up. So
yeah, Metro Exodus is great. I love that game. I gotta get back into it.
Demanding as hell though, compared to like RE3.
Yeah, no doubt, to say the least. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Now, before we dive into the topics, just a reminder to everybody in the chat, everybody listening, that we are doing a giveaway for a digital copy of Resident Evil 3 for Xbox One. And to participate, head over to our Twitter account and look at the pinned tweet on how to enter. Contest ends next week on April 9th. So definitely. Now, going into our first topic of the night, and hey, you know what, guys? Xbox head Phil Spencer has certainly been making the rounds the past few months. Recently, he spoke with IGN's podcast Unlock, and he was asked how he felt about the recent PS5 spec reveal by Mark Cerny and how the Xbox Series X stacks up against it. Now, this is what Phil said, and I quote, "No doubt it felt really about how the Xbox Series X lines up. Now, I think Mark and the team did some really good work on the audio processing that they talked about. Their SSD technology is impressive. We like that. We saw the work that they did. But, we took a holistic view on the platform, from CPU to GPU to RAM to throughput, velocity architecture, latency, and backwards compatibility. It took us years to get to this point. I will definitely have respect for any platform team that's launching. It just takes a lot of work. But I will say, when we finally saw the public disclosure, I felt even better about the choices that we made on our platform, and I kind of expected that I would. So, guys, right off the bat, that's a very confident statement from Phil, because while still respecting Sony's upcoming console, you can tell that they were going all in on the specs for the Series X. Do you think that the team behind the console really believes in it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But does this plan include Lockhart? I mean, I keep scratching my head about the whole Lockhart situation in general. And I'm thinking to myself, why would Xbox manufacture a second console when they can just lower the price of both the X and the S? So I don't know. I mean, to me, it just doesn't make sense to launch another console. So I'm still saying, if Lockhart even exists, we know that the Series X is going to be like, obviously the most powerful console on the planet, rivaling high-end PCs. And now we're waiting for the price point, which is probably the most important aspect of everything. But, it's going to be a huge factor in determining whether or not Xbox is going to be a major player next gen, or again a distant third like they were this one.
Well, that's a thing, because I don't think that Ryan McCafferty asked anything about Lockhart, if I'm not mistaken. So, which is kind of weird, because there's always been the rumors of a second console. So I did find it kind of weird that he never followed up with any of that. But
I don't know. I mean, maybe Tim has something else. Maybe he heard something different as far as Lockhart goes. But I'm still saying it doesn't exist, and that's just me. But
well, I'm in the idea of, or thinking that it does exist. Last I talked about it to somebody relevant, they said if they wouldn't put Lockhart out, it would cost them millions of dollars of loss. It would be a huge loss. So I think it's coming. I think they're going to talk about it when Sony, or basically right now what you have going on is a game of cat and mouse. Microsoft knocked it out of the ballpark with specs, but now you have the price point. I think Sony was targeting a $399 console, but I don't think it turned out that way. Especially with that report from Bloomberg where they said their bill of materials is around $450. So if that's the case, you're looking at $449 or $500 console. So I think Sony's in a waiting state, and I think Xbox is also in a waiting state. And they have a couple of months, and I do think that Lockhart will be announced and it will be talked about, and it will be.
I'm still. What's the reason, though? I mean, besides the whole money grab.
Well, no, it's basically what their idea was from some of the documentation that I had gotten on back in the day on this, was they wanted a next gen level type console, which Lockhart will be. That targets lower resolution, same frames, but that it's an entry level price. So if people want to get into next gen gaming, they want ray tracing, but they want a little bit lesser resolution, and obviously not as as many effects as you would have as and console. You would have a $300 option. And
so would you say that what the Lockhart is doing is bringing everybody up to speed with the next gen ecosystem,
right? At an affordable price.
Okay.
I think that's what their thinking was, and that was their, if you would say, Trojan horse, or their flanking strategy. As I heard that as well talked about, where they could target a high end, most performant console, and then they could also have an alternative, cheaper console that will play your games at the same frame rates as what your high end Anaconda or Series X would be, but since it carries most of the technology with the CPU and the RAM, that it can actually basically do what the X can do, but at a 1080p point. So I think that's their whole thinking on that. I think it's still a go. We're getting too late to the ball game with this. But also looking at Sony, they haven't even shown their console off yet. So I think that it's, like I said, it's a cat and mouse game right now. Who's going to shoot first with price? I think once price comes down and people know where it lands, where Sony is, where Xbox is, I think that you might see the Lockhart shortly after that. So I'm fully in the boat that it's coming. It's just their entry level. It's cheaper experience into next gen. If you want to go balls out, you want 4K, you want, amazing, the best ray tracing and the most powerful console in the market, you go with Series X. It's a pretty straightforward.
So what happens to the X? I mean, does it get discontinued, and they still produce the S?
No, they're just gonna have Series. From what I've heard, they're just gonna have Series X and Series S as your consoles of choice. They won't have 4 consoles in manufacture, and you could see the pricing of the Xbox One X, $299. Even see $199 a week ago or 2 weeks ago that sold out within seconds. MSRP on the Xbox One X right now is $399. So I think that they might phase out the X and the S. They might keep the digital console, the digital, the SAID, as you would say it, as like a really cheap option. But to avoid confusion, I don't think they're going to have 5 consoles on the market to choose from. It's going to be either 2 or 3.
Well, it's interesting too, and Phil also commented on, again, the next gen price factor, right? And this is what he had to say. You have to set a price target at the beginning for yourselves, and then you kind of roll in as you see the competition come in and start to go to market planning. I feel good about the price that we're going to be able to get to. I feel good about the price and the performance capabilities that we have with the Series X. I feel incredibly strong about the overall package. So, I mean, I guess we'll be hearing about the price relatively soon in whatever kind of a digital format that they choose to go with for their conference or whatever. But if Phil says that he's confident with and he feels good about the pricing, then I gotta say there must be some kind of a competitive price. So what do you guys think that they will price the Series X at?
I mean, I think everybody here assumes it's going to be $499.
Yeah.
But my hope is, they would come where anywhere between $450 and $400. Maybe $400 is out of the question with the kind of power we're talking about, but I think $449 is doable. And if they do, and PlayStation comes in at $499, I think Sony's going to have a lot of problems.
Definitely. Well, yeah. I mean, whatever you guys get, I'm gonna have to pay $100 extra because I'm in Canada. So
yeah, I think they're gonna come in at $499. I think Sony might come in a little cheaper, or at $499. I think, like I said, Sony was originally planning on $399, and let's say they do hit $399. Let's say that they say they'll take the hit, and they hit $399 for that console. Then you got to look at that console a little bit differently. Comparatively, because it's $100 cheaper, but I think if it comes in at the same price, Microsoft really kind of lucked out with that one. Looking back Monday morning quarterback, I think that if Xbox, when they planned this in 2016, they didn't think Sony would go with the $499 console, but it looks like Sony might have went with the console, or just on circumstances that they're in that area. So they went with that double strategy where they would have the cheaper price next gen availability at $299 and then the $499 SKU. But this looks like it's breaking the way that Xbox got a little lucky here. And if they're both $499 with the performance delta in the spec gap, that's a big win for Xbox, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they're going to come in. I think they would come in at $499. I would pay up to $600. I think you're going to get a premium product with the Xbox Series X, but at the same time, we're in a different world right now, different times. They're going to need that Lockhart. I think now more than ever. If they were on the fence about releasing the Lockhart, and with the economy the way it is right now, they may need that cheaper console to get people in that ecosystem. So
if it's in production,
if that's it. So
Oh, if it's actually able to be produced, we'll just say that because
Yeah.
it takes about a few months to ramp up production. You could theoretically have some out by the end of the year, but you would need a working prototype that you would want to mass produce for sure.
Price always moves.
And I think he
systems.
said,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say he did talk about the lines, the product lines, like there in China, were ramping back up. So he
Yeah.
didn't feel like that was going to cause a delay. But yeah, I think it'd also be like $499, and I think where they lucked out with Sony is them Sony putting in that higher end SSD, which might drive up their price. So even though if they're the weaker system, they might not be able to come in cheaper because they have a higher, more powerful SSD, which tends to be a lot more expensive than maybe the difference in the graphics card.
I think. Yeah, go ahead, Centurion.
I was just gonna say I was part of the $599 camp for the longest time.
Good Lord, $599.
Well, dude, I might as well just brace myself so that way I don't have sticker shock. I would rather walk out of the store with an extra $100 in my pocket than feeling like, oh, I should have brought extra $100. I don't know. But anyways, the whole reason why I'm kind of like not in that camp anymore is purely because I agree with Megatron that the economy has changed. They're probably looking at things differently now. Going forward, they're probably not going to have the same idea purely because they know there's some of their user base is now not doing as well as they were before this whole incident. So they definitely have to pivot on that. And so I don't see how they would want to make it any higher than $499 now just because of current events.
It's funny how we say the economy's changed, but you can't get a hold of a Switch and you can't get a hold of it's hard to get a hold of these systems right now.
It is.
In general.
It is. Overall, I think he talked about it in the. It was in the same our IGN interview. Console sales are up. Console usage is up. Game Pass is up. Everything is up. Because obviously, we're in a day and age right now where the days of going out and talking and being with a group of people are now shunned upon for the time being, and people are looking for things to do at home, and video games is honestly
you can't get a hold of it.
See, but to go back onto the economy standpoint, I'm not talking about like right now. If we got to talk about when the Series X is coming out, that's like December. Yeah. So you can already see inklings of what's going on with our economy, and that's one thing that does worry me is what are the long-term effects.
You can't even get a hold of toilet paper too, so we roll that in.
Yeah, you're probably
right.
I think that's
10 million people.
We're
10 million people.
A little more conscientious. I think that the economy, I do believe it'll kick back up, but I do think that there's going to be a little bit of a. I think that when it'll truly start to, get back to where it was, when they, we have a COVID vaccine. I think it's going to kick up, but I'm talking about like really kick up.
I see industries like gaming and anything that has to do with what's going on right now staying home, because if they come out tomorrow and like, hey, we can fix this, there's going to still be that reluctance and just that whole like mindset that has been just drove into people now. And so I see services like gaming actually still booming quite well because they revolve around the house.
100%. I agree with you. I don't think people are going to transition back quickly. I think there's going to be things that change. Days of shaking hands and stuff like that might go by the wayside. It might be just elbow smashes. Who knows? But the fact is that this is going to change us and. Moving forward, the economy is probably going to be good, but it might not be as good until we fully feel that we are back to, that this whole thing, this whole nightmare is gone, and that might take a little bit of time. And if you're going to be price conscientious and you're going to have a $300 option this day and age, it's a good thing. And to have a $599 option now would be just, if this never happened, I think if this never happened, we would be like, okay, we can deal with it. But now it's like really, they cannot be at that price, in my opinion.
So with that being said, though, what do you think the sweet spot would be for the Lockhart as far as pricing is concerned? For me, I think $299
Yeah.
would be great. Roll in 3 months worth of Game Pass, which helps out a ton because you got all these games that are
anything
available.
to put it in the same price bracket as the Switch. So that way, when you're going out to buy a console and you're in that price bracket, now you have to have a debate: do I want to go Switch or Nintendo? I mean, Switch or Xbox. And right now, it's a no-brainer for a lot of people because they don't want to flip the bill for some of the expensive consoles.
Yeah, man, they're gonna go to the Stadia.
Phil did mention he did bring up the whole all access pass that they've been doing. So I feel like they're going to make that the focal point. So even if they have to announce at $4.99, that they're going to say actually no, it's $19.99 or $2.90 or sorry $29.99.
$20 a month. For
yeah, they're going to just keep driving that home just in case Sony does undercut and come at 400. They're making the perception that I can get this way cheaper than I can get a PS4.
And from what I've heard on Lockhart, that it's really, they try to cut corners as much as they could with that console. No disk drive, possibly. Certain things that you would expect might not be there. It's just going to basically be a console that could play your games well and on a next gen status or comparable at a lower resolution, but that's it. You might not get some of the bells and whistles that you get with the Series X.
What do you guys think, though? You think this maybe just move xCloud to the forefront of everything when you talk about costs and the age we're living in right now? Because at this point, you need a Bluetooth controller.
No,
you don't think so? It might.
Go ahead, Sunshine.
I just want to point out the whole reason why I say no is because right now, even Microsoft is having to bring down the latency they're having to mess with their systems to just handle the load. Our internet infrastructure right now is so overloaded that I feel like that actually would hinder the rollout of xCloud right now. Because I've noticed everywhere I go, the internet is just trash.
Yeah. It definitely can ramp things up, though. Like
I want to say trash, but you definitely see
worse than what I got. Worse than what I got.
Yeah.
Okay, so trash.
I find it is interesting though how Xbox, their infrastructure is kind. I don't know. You take a look at your friends list, and mine's always fluctuating, and it's just crazy. I'm like, what in the heck is going on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it has to do with the it's the servers are being overloaded right now. The service itself, like there's so much activity going on that I think they have to cut back on a bit on everybody's activity, unfortunately. So kind of crazy there. But did you guys happen to catch the actual the podcast that IGN did about all this? Because it was very informative. Phil had even talked about, or I should say Ryan had even asked Phil about how he thinks the projections for the console launch, if anything's affected, and he said that things are pretty much good to go for the Series X. They're still on schedule, and he was asked if they would push back Halo Infinite, and he said everything's still looking pretty good from what I understood. So they seem pretty confident going forward, at least with the launch schedule that they have anyways.
I think I like the fact that he mentioned about everyone on all the different teams being safe. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if there were delays with this stuff. I mean, how big is the studio, 343 Studios? I mean, the studios are growing. They have to.
It's over like 300, almost 400.
Yeah, it's a lot of coordination, a lot of project management.
I got the vibe from him in the interview that there would be delays.
It's possible.
What he said was you feel much better on the hardware side. Software side is basically it's kind of like a wait and see. And that's just our lives right now and everything. It's a wait and see. If this thing goes better than expected, then yeah, I think that if people are back in work and back in studios and stuff like that in 2 months, then that's great. But if it's 5 months now, and we're still fucking on this hunker down bullshit. Well, I shouldn't say bullshit, but what we're doing right now, then all bets are off. So it's just a wait and see.
I have a reason to believe that Halo Infinite is complete, and they're just what they're doing is just enhancing it. For the Series X. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I think it is complete, and they're just in the process now of making sure that everything's there. So,
well, any game is going to depend on where they are in development, but yeah, I guess it's just I'd rather have a delay, especially with a game like Halo, or CD Projekt Red's their project Cyberpunk, than have something come out. You got one time to get it right, especially with Microsoft and everybody being so critical of them. With anything they launch, they take anything positive and just spin it down. It's in the dumpsters. So I just, especially with a game like Halo, you got one shot to get it right. You do like you did last year. You have a launch window. Now, if you got to extend something, just do it that way. Like they did with the Xbox One when it came out. You have this launch window where you have this, I guess, which would be first quarter.
I think for Cyberpunk, that game has been in development for like 10 years, and almost the same thing for Infinite. It's been since Halo 5 released
2015. That's 5 years in development.
Yeah. So
it was a little rocky development, but listen, at the end of the day, if it's going to get delayed 3 months, we saw what happened with The Last of Us 2 and even with Wastelands 3. I think you're going to expect some software delays just for the fact that working from home is you can get somewhat production out of it, but you're still not getting the production when you're
some of these guys have families. Some of them have families, and their kids are home. There's distraction. They want the kids want the attention. A lot of the dynamics change when it comes to working from home as opposed to working.
And you have no boss there.
Yeah.
So
your wife is the boss.
So, so when was The Last of Us 2 scheduled to release again?
May.
So I think it's a blessing in disguise for Sony, to be honest, because now it says indefinitely, which means it's probably going to get slotted in and launch with the PlayStation 5 now, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can I throw out a rumor on that one?
Go ahead.
Do you think they're going to try to also potentially sneak multiplayer back in now with this delay?
Nope.
No. The multiplayer aspect still takes a long time to develop. We're not saying that they can't. They can still do it a year down the line, but
so you don't think they didn't have nothing in production at all when it came to a multiplayer?
I don't think so, but I'm just guessing. You know what I mean? So
I think they're going for that money grab.
Have something planned, but knowing them, they're not going to have it where they're going to have it either it's going to be a free to play or it's going to be an expansion. I think with this, you're either looking at something like 2 to 3 months, delay, or they might just go full blown, go for launch, which would help them. But the fact is that the game was announced in 2016. It'll be 4 years since the announcement. The game was definitely made with PlayStation 4 in mind, where like a game like Halo Infinite, Frankie O'Connor has already said that they are, developing for all the consoles, Scarlet, and they're going to leverage Scarlet. So it's not kind of like you're going to get that type of preferential treatment unless they can do it within this 6 months. But my opinion, not to go off course, is that game probably 2 to 3 months will come out because this is going to calm down, and I think especially Washington and LA seem to California have really done a good job with mitigation comparatively to like New York, where I think that's where they're based, so they might be back to work a little bit earlier. Supposedly it's a distribution thing. I guess they can't make the CD or the Blu-ray players to match the demand. So I can't see that really waiting until next gen launch. But you never know. If they do, the right thing would be, I think, to have multiplayer at launch, because I think that they could do it, but I just don't see it.
Now, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I do really like Phil's comments about what he said. Again, that podcast, it was very informative. It talked about that they do have, that they are going to show a bunch of new first-party titles and also third-party deals that they have probably in the next couple of months. So I'm very excited. And they also talked about Scalebound for some reason, about it not coming back. It's dead. So just a reminder, everybody.
He was happy with that question, to be honest. If you watch the interview,
wait, which question?
he asked him about Scalebound. I think it feels like
that's right.
He's losing his mind with that, because that's been a long time.
Yeah,
people are still in interest for it.
Well, I'll admit I was, but hey, you know what? I gave up on it a long time ago, and people just need to learn to let things go. So, yeah, anyways, I'm very confident with what Phil said, and I'm happy to see where Xbox is slowly taking us. But you know what, guys? We're going to stick with the multiple game delays topic, and because, like you guys said, The Last of Us 2 was... it has been delayed indefinitely, but also there's been a few other titles. Iron Man VR, which looked like a pretty cool game. That's another Sony game. It got delayed indefinitely. Wasteland 3 got pushed back. Originally, it was supposed to come out in late May. Now it got moved all the way to August, repositioning itself. Even Minecraft Dungeons, it was supposed to come out later this month. It got pushed back only a month, but still got a little bit of a delay.
Thank God for Animal Crossing, Resident Evil 3, and Ori and the Will of the Wisp, huh?
Yeah, and Doom. Guys,
and Doom. Yeah, let's not forget Doom.
Oh, man. Doom
I'm
has
up to
been
31 hours, I think, in Ori right now. I'm trying to do every single thing before I finish it. So
I'm on the last, I think it's called, the Whispering Tree or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on that last part, and I just haven't gotten to. I'm playing Resident Evil 3 right now. I'm probably about 3.5 hours into it. Almost finished with the game.
I just finished with the spider. I can't stand spiders, bro. Like,
Resident Evil 3 is sick. That spider's difficult though in Ori.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that Gears Tactics still makes its date?
Since it's only PC based, I think initially they might.
Is that coming out digital on both console and is that both coming at the same time for console and PC, or just PC first?
I think PC first.
I believe it's PC first, but it was announced for Xbox, but it's supposed to come out on April 28th. They haven't said anything about a delay yet, so I'm kind of hoping that it stays that way, because again, it would be nice to have some games spread out instead of just like push back all the way. But that would be nice to have. But there's
Sony's excuse anyway. It was all about like getting the physical copies out so those people could play. So if it's all PC based, then they shouldn't have any issue.
Absolutely. But there's another title from Sony that I am curious if they do delay, and that would be Ghosts of Tsushima, because that game comes out, I think, in mid to late June. Do you guys think we'll see a delay there? Because that's another big game.
I hope it. I mean, for the fans of PlayStation, you're looking forward to that game. It sucks when you get your hopes up and you get ready to play a game and it's delayed. So I mean, for Sony fans, I don't have a PlayStation, so if I had one, I'd get it. But I know it would suck.
There is a possibility of it just releasing digital. So,
but they're not doing that with The Last of Us. I mean, that game is
they would do it.
That game is mostly done from what Naughty Dog said. So, it would be nice if they released it digitally, but I just think they're banking on, I guess they have so many pre-orders already from retail that they just have to push it back.
Yeah, you're losing some of that 100 million consoles on the table.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it is smart to delay, obviously. Not a lot of people are working at the moment, but And honestly, there is enough to play. There's all kinds of games out there already. We all have backlogs to work on. And even if the devs do need extra time, if they're working from home, then, all the power to them. We can wait a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So,
speaking of not work, is everybody doing okay?
Hanging in there, man. We had
You guys doing all right?
Some big cuts in my job, and
Yeah.
I'm kind of holding down the fort, man. I'm just that 8 hours of work that I still have. Usually it's 10 to 12. It's all crammed into about 8, and it's as soon as I punch in, it's like go go go. But
yeah,
it's
I'm
been
ready
rough.
to go
It's
back
been
to the
rough.
office.
Yeah, it's been rough. Friends, family, just they all been getting hitting hard on my end, so it's rough.
Yeah, there's been downsizing around me. I think I survived the downsizing. I'm still working.
Mm-hmm.
The
Do you
company,
get any money from the government, Megatron?
Oh yeah, I'm getting my my Trump money. Give me my money. Yeah, I'm getting. Yeah,
that'll help.
Yeah, definitely,
I didn't get
definitely.
2 months of maybe hunkering down, and this really, maybe starts to make a turn. But for me, it's been everything's been good.
My sushi excursions for lunch is not the same anymore. It's ramen and everything cut with rice. So, but I cut back a lot. I still got a gaming budget.
Every place that I usually used to go out, every place is closed.
That's a hard habit to kick, though, isn't it? Like,
yeah, well,
it's a hard habit.
There's no options.
And everything shut down at 10 o'clock. Like here in Jersey, at least for me, sometimes I'll split my shift sometimes, and it's still, like everything's dead. There's no cars on the road. I feel like I'm the only car for miles. Sometimes I don't see anyone around. So
Papa John's, they put the pizza on the floor when they deliver it now. I'm like, yeah, because that's so much more sanitary now.
Oh my god!
Just wear some gloves and hand me a box.
Oh my god!
It's like they hide it under the doormat.
He stood on the stairwell, like a couple steps down, and wait for me to pick it up off the floor. I'm like, all right.
That's not good.
There's
you're
what
an
you're
apartment building, right? So you got like 1,000 feet running up and down those stairs. So
the company I used to work for, which is WSS, they're in some big trouble.
Are they really?
Yeah, because think about it. They have almost 90 stores throughout the U.S. and there's not a lot of people
closed, right?
Yeah, they're still. They have the online business, which is doing really well, but still, it's just it's not. And now I work for a recession-proof, pandemic-proof business where business is just crazy right now where I am.
So yeah, your business has really been shot up, right?
Oh my god, it's out of control. I just got a promotion too, which is nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So everything's good.
Shout out to everybody in the chat too, man. I hope you guys are holding up too as well, man, and staying safe. Appreciate you.
I'll tell you guys, I'm working my ass off right now. I work in a hospital, and it is crazy busy. And there's always something new every time I walk in. They have different procedures for checking us out and making sure that we're fine as soon as we walk into the hospital. Lots going on. They actually set up a tent outside in one of the parking lots to hold a bunch of people. So, and there's a lot of movement. So definitely.
I know we're going off topic, but I went to the hospital last week over here. We have a hospital 2 blocks, really nice hospital in Ennis. And the first thing you do when they come in is they take your temperature to see if you have a fever. And then, obviously they ask you if you have any symptoms. But I went into something totally unrelated. I had to get my blood drawn, because of my thyroid. Just a 6-month checkup to basically do all the blood panel in general. But everything's on high alert. Everyone's wearing masks. It's just a crazy time.
It's hard not to think about. I'm going to the grocery store Saturday, and we're at the Walmart, and everyone's wearing the mask, and they have the shopping carts all lined up, and they're only letting 50 people at a time in the grocery store. It's a gaming show, but it's just hard to not think about what the hell's going on. We got gaming to distract us, but damn, man, it's just
absolutely.
Go ahead. Oh, I wonder what's going to happen here soon because of like, how are people right now still? Because we haven't gotten those checks and we might not get them. You might not get it until towards the end of April. How are those people buying food and paying their rent? Because not my apartment place, they send out those papers saying, "Oh no, your rent's due. We're not."
Jeez.
A lot of mortgage companies like Bank of America, they're letting you defer your mortgage. They're giving you options to pay it later, or push it back towards your loan. Or
If you're on a lease, I don't know what you do.
My wife is in property management. They have, at least here in Arizona, I don't know about other states, but they have basically 120 days from a certain day that happened like a few days ago. That basically they cannot evict you until this date. So anything you owe them, you got to have that all paid up by that date.
With what job?
Move.
And that's what. Well, I guess right now, unemployment. They're, giving out a lot. I have no idea how much
they're giving out a shitload of unemployment.
They're giving out $600.
And they still tax that shit.
Yeah, a week.
You can elect to tax it or not, but you have to pay at the end of the year. But they're also giving $600 out for unemployment.
Fucking week.
Yeah,
they extended it.
They've advertised that there's money going out, so all these places that your rent or your mortgage payment or whatever, they're aware of the money that you're receiving, so they're all like, hey, it's not free, so just please make sure you have us paid by this date.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you, Gennaro. Gennaro's like they don't give a F about COVID-19. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just think financially and everything, it's going to take a while to kick back. I mean, like Jeremy talks about his old company, which is a really good company. They sell sneakers and what do? They have 90 stores and they're all closed down, and it wasn't their fault.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Jerry Jones said they'll help them out if they need help. Since you guys don't know this, but Jerry Jones is an investor in WSS, so he's basically going to bail them out if they get in trouble.
Well, these companies, not just them, and a lot of these, even restaurants. I got a feeling that a lot of restaurants, some of them won't come back.
These mom and pop places. It's going to take a while for demand to ramp back up again.
Mm-hmm.
They still have to pay their leases.
Yeah.
I like the fact. I just like this whole situation because I'm actually getting into games I never thought I'd get into. You guys checked out Journey to the Savage Planet yet?
Oh, that's a great game.
I heard it was I haven't yet.
Oh, dude, that game's awesome. I played only
good pickup by Google.
Yeah.
What, really? Google?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Google bought them back in January.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's a very beautiful. I think it's a very good looking game, very well put together. I haven't really seen any bugs to really write home about, and I mean, it's really fun, and it even does stuff that's funny as hell.
It's a cross between.
Is it co-op or no?
Yeah, there's co-op.
Yeah,
it's a cross between like No Man's Sky and like Fallout. Real quirky kind of gameplay, funny.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an actual endpoint to this. There's an actual goal, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Who's the maker of it?
Typhoon.
Oh, Typhoon.
Yeah, they're based in Montreal. They just got bought by Google back in like November or something. So nice pickup by them. They're gonna need some more studios if they want to compete. And speaking of studios, guys, we're gonna move on to our next topic. And there's been a lot of talk this week about the PlayStation 5 and performance issues. Now, supposedly, and we have to take this with a massive grain of salt because we can't really confirm this, but there has been some validation here. A person who works in the game industry came out and stated that we should expect the PS5 to be delayed and that it will have heating problems to rival the Xbox 360. Ouch, that's not a good start if that's true. Now, he went on to say that the hardware is failing at an alarming rate and that the system can't maintain its clocks. Sony is supposedly going to redesign the console, but doesn't want to copy the tower design of the Xbox Series X. Now, it's interesting, but it's hard to really verify, again, a random commenter. However, Windows Central contributors Daniel Rubino and Jez Corden are stating that they've heard similar things from others as well. So that gives this a little bit of a a weight to this rumor. Now, guys, what do you make of this? Because it would definitely help to explain why Sony has been so silent in comparison to Microsoft the past few months.
Can I hop in on this?
Yeah.
All right. I'll kick this off. All right. For starters, during this generation, how many rumors were started around the Xbox brand that Xbox did not get in front of, that got wildly out of control and actually ended up creating a lot of clout around the brand? Same thing could happen here with PlayStation. Is if they don't get in front of these rumors can definitely gain some ground and start running through the communities. And in my opinion, as a consumer, this is me as a consumer, I love gaming. I already have the money put away for both consoles, but the point is, do I want to go out now and buy the PS5 with these rumors circulating around it? Because I know you can buy warranties, but do you want to deal with that? Also, that's just a lot of money to put out for the to have that rumor floating around the hardware.
Can I ask you a question? Is that rumor kind of contained, or is it like everybody's rolling with it?
Dude, from what everybody has seen that little
okay, but there's a difference between there's a difference between major outlets, and I'm talking about like Kotaku, IG, everybody rolling with it than just someone posting on a blog or whatever they posted it. And I mean, yeah, there's smoke, there's fire, but I do think. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I have one article from Tweaktown labeled PlayStation 5's rumored heat issue should be solved in a final console. Sources say the PS5 runs hot, but Sony should compensate with a powerful cooling solution. That came out on Tweaktown. So, I mean, there's
today, right? I was looking at that.
A few days ago, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, my take is this, and Jeremy, you asked, because is it widespread? Is it common talk? The answer is no. Have major outlets like Kotaku and IGN picked it up? The answer is no. The way it originated was the guy named Jeff Rickle posted a YouTube comment on some of the things that you have heard. I think that his tweets or his the way he described it was a little I think it sounds like it's a little embellished. I don't think it's as bad as a 360, type thing. I've heard that, they might have had problems with their yields and the clocks are not maybe, that has been something that has been, rumored, or, you get random posts. The guy Jason Schreier, who I'm not a fan of, but he looked into the guy Jeff Rickle, and the guy did have like some "the sky is type falling" comments, on Sony that weren't exactly fair. The guy is in the industry supposedly. Rubino has said he has heard certain things from different people as well. So the bottom line is that it is being talked about. It is possibly a possibility, but I don't think that anybody should take their hat and take this and completely say this is fact.
Right.
One of the big things with Sony is that they got to show the console. I think once they show the console, a lot of answers will be, a lot of questions will be answered. And when you haven't showed the console and the way they rolled this out, with the type of stuff that they've talked about, and just the way they're piecemealing it, they've done a shitty job. And not seeing the console and not showing off the form factor, it's going to lend itself to this type of stuff.
And that's what I was getting at. I mean, if everybody's reporting it, then Sony has no choice but to respond to this. If it's just a few people, and I think they're still going to lay low and let it kind of blow over. But yeah, the whole fact of them not revealing the the way the console looks, the design, and just some of these other rumors that are circulating is just bad for Sony in general. But
I mean, is it something they did before? I mean, when the PS4 was announced and revealed, that was before E3, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It was at a February event before E3, and I think they only showed off. They didn't show off the console itself, but they showed off a few games, and I think they may have shown off the DualShock 4, if I'm not mistaken. But that was it. But they haven't even shown off the controller yet. They've only shown off the logo, the uninspired logo, which is I don't know, guys. It just seems just kind of weird that we haven't seen it yet. Obviously, I mean, they've been doing so well this past gen that they're kind of in the driver's seat, but Microsoft has just been so confident ever since, the past few months. It's December in the Game Awards. Everybody's just been like, wow, look at Microsoft and the Xbox Series X. So,
I do think, Invader, it's premature. You know, we should, like Tim was talking about, we shouldn't be, I mean, it's just, they say it's a high failure rate, but the system's not even out yet. It's 8 months to launch, which they can definitely squeak out some. Maybe there's alleged issues they're talking about. So,
exactly. But then you look at the dev kits, and they have massive vents on them. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they did have some kind of heating issues. I mean, you look at the way that the Series X is designed as like a massive tower.
Now
those dev kits are PC based though, right? They're not really what they're using in the actual console itself, right? It's just a given spec, and they throw a bunch of graphic cards in there and a CPU, and they kind of just guess on the ballpark of where it's going to be at, right? As far as the teraflop performance, right? I'm not mistaken. Those aren't actual PS5s. The dev kits.
Yeah.
Not exactly, but it gives kind of an idea of how it's going to run. So if they're having heating issues already, well, again, we'll just take everything as a grain of salt. It's hard to say, but it is interesting, though, that there are some outlets, some contributors saying that they have heard similar things. So it's something to keep an eye on, is all I'm saying. Just something to keep an eye on. Oh, it looks like Tim left us for a moment. He'll probably be joining us back up. But you know what? We're gonna transition to another set of news. And unfortunately, guys, Xbox, we occasionally lose publications, and an Xbox publication is closing its doors. Publisher Future has closed official Xbox magazine. OXM has been around for a while.
Forever.
Yeah, exactly. I remember reading them for the longest time. They've been around since the launch of the original Xbox back in November of 2001. 18 years to be exact, right? So, hey, some people are, 18 and remember. Oh man, it goes that back. It goes far back, and I always enjoyed it. I always enjoyed its content, and it had some well done articles, reviews, and I will always remember it for those discs that came with the magazine. Definitely some extra incentives back in the day for exclusive demos, gamer picks, and other stuff. Anyways, but guys, how do you feel about this news? Were any of you subscribers or fans of OXM?
I was a fan back in the day. One of the main reasons why I got that magazine was because of the game, the discs, the demos you got.
And they put in some nice shit in those discs.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
It was great. I was a subscriber back in the day, and but I guess it's time now. I mean, everyone's on their phone. That's where we get all the info from.
Yeah,
nowadays. So it's just a sign of the times. There was a lot of good bathroom reading back then. I didn't get up to my legs with numb. So but now it's just I guess it's time. It's time. I still have a few magazines somewhere in a couple of
crates.
I
do too.
So
if I remember correctly, the subscription was it went from $9.99, and I think they upped the price later on till I believe either $12.99 or $14.99. But that was it was a really well put together magazine. The articles were well written, and the pictures, it was artful. So
didn't Ryan McCaffrey write for OXM at one point?
I think I think early on in his career he did a couple things.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but it was. I'm gonna miss him. I mean, I haven't paid attention to him in so long. Yeah.
Yeah, I got some game discs. I was just rummaging through a few things before we started, and I found a few game discs. I got game disc 127 here, ironically, for the same as the show we have tonight. And what I got? I got a demo for Catherine here. I got another disc, the Gunstringer. By the way, the Gunstringer, fun game. I like that one.
Oh, that was a great game. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you could see a lot of the these outlets that jumped on the internet, the digital bandwagon late, kind of got left behind. Same goes for publications. You see some of the major guys still in play, but a lot of the smaller companies are no longer in existence, and I think you see the effects of that right here.
It was so much cheaper to subscribe to some of these magazines as opposed to buying them out of like Barnes and Nobles. Oh my gosh, what was it like? What were they like? $12? I'm
He was close to that.
Yeah, I mean, I would literally. I mean, at one point, I would literally go into like a Barnes and Nobles or Borders. I grab my coffee, grab a whole bunch of gaming magazines, a couple
Just read them,
and just sit there, put my feet up, and sit there for about 3-4 hours and just chill.
My favorite early on was Game Fan. Maybe Tim would remember that one, and Megatron will remember that one. Maybe Shockley, who knows? But Game Fan was my favorite.
Game Fan. I mean,
Game Fan. No, it was Game Fan. Look at Game Fan magazine. Type in Game Fan on Google. Game Pro was okay, but Game Fan was probably the best. And then you got you guys remember Play Magazine? That was a really well put together magazine.
EGM was my favorite.
Yeah, I think
just because of the writers.
So the one thing about magazines as opposed to the internet today was back in the day, you could get a magazine and you would have exclusive new information that nobody.
That's where you got your news.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
you get your news there, so you would like finding new information. We just go on the internet now. We wait.
Didn't have YouTube to watch trailers.
Yeah.
Right.
It goes up there with
It goes up there with what?
like Prima game guides. Does everybody remember those?
Yeah. Well, there was
Sue, by the way.
Yeah, they're still around, I think.
What, Prima?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't as far as I know, they don't really do hard copy editions very much anymore.
Yeah,
I actually have the game guides for like Skyrim and Fallout 4 and all them.
Did anybody ever have that holiday demo disc for PlayStation Magazine, I believe it was? So if you put it in and try to play Beautiful Joe 2, it would erase your memory card if it was inside.
What?
Yep. It's an infamous demo disc. I think it was my Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Just everything was just wiped out. It's like, you're fucking kidding me.
Oh, that's rough.
Merry Christmas.
I was a big fan of Nintendo Power. Remember?
Yeah.
I got stacks of those still tucked away under my bed somewhere.
I really thought that the evolution of the magazine thing was going to be G4 television, and I don't know. It was disappointing that it didn't get into something even bigger because now it's off. I guess everything's on YouTube now. Mainstream. I was.
You know what? About that Megatron, I think that was way ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Electric Playground was kind of way ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
Came out a little too early as opposed to a little too late. It's one of those things where you kind of have to be for lightning to strike like that and be successful. You kind of have to be at the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
now it's about just who gets the more engagement. I mean, magazines were great at one point, but now, I mean, we transitioned into websites, we transitioned into YouTube, even stuff like Twitter. You get a lot of rumors that are spread around over there. Forums, different gaming forums are very popular for that stuff. And just podcasts like ours, people want to hear these interviews. They want to be connected a little more, and sometimes you just don't get that from pages from a magazine. So they don't get to interact the same way. Like some of our fans, they get to ask questions during interviews. They get to interact with us, or just there's all kinds of different interactivity. And
social media changed everything. I mean, you look at somebody like IGN, and that's a possibility. Like, I'm not gonna be like one of us in the group will be privy to some information that IGN doesn't even know yet. They're behind the curve now.
Didn't they used to have a magazine?
They're late to the news cycle.
Yeah, because I've heard some things. I've heard people hear things, and they're playing catch up as we, there's just like so.
And one of the things with magazines too, we now have these. You go on Twitter and you get the pictures of the games and the reveals, and you see what it looks like. Back then, there was none of that either. You would get the pictures of it on the magazine itself, and you'd be like, "Oh my god, look at how this game looks."
Yeah, those magazines are always a month behind. You would get the April issue in May, and then May would come in, in June, and so on and so forth.
Big one was getting that one after E3, reading all the stuff that happened.
Oh yeah.
Megatron was talking about how IGN's behind the 8 ball now, but in this day and age, you have to have a niche. You have to do something that's different. And you look at sites like Digital Foundry and what they're able to accomplish and how they're kind of taking off on what they're doing, because it's very different as opposed to somebody like Kotaku or IGN. I think it's just interesting how these some of these other places have kind of found their way through other means and other sources, like Digital Foundry.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and that's just the change. The change with technology and just the transitions into different media. Digital Foundry obviously has found their niche. They talk about in-depth analysis about tech and games, and they do something very unique. That's why a lot of people go to them, because they have an expertise in that area. And then if you're just talking about regular game news, well, a lot of podcasts eat that up now. There's so many more avenues for gaming fans to go to hear their information from. YouTube is a big source, and it's not necessarily a main website or a main news outlet that they get their news from, which is just it's very telling of the times that we're in right now.
I still say that Digital Foundry owes Tim some royalty money off that, because early on, I remember Tim promoting Digital Foundry before they were pretty big, and I still say Tim has to send them an email with some royalty checks in that, or some marketing dollars.
Well, it's like Invader said, they are an expertise in an industry where they are the pretty much say all or the be all. If they say your game is running imperformant, not compared to another.
But it wasn't like that before. I would say a year ago or a year and a half ago, nobody really they're kind of flying under the radar. Nobody really took them seriously. And now all of a sudden, they're huge. They're getting huge. And, I don't know.
I think if you compare them to IGN, I think IGN's in a lot more trouble, than
their bottom line. They're giving you the specs. Bottom line, there's no questions. Like, here it is. Here are the numbers. Where someone like IGN, you may say, "Hey, these guys are biased." That's why, people are just not really feeling them anymore.
Well, IGN, I don't think IGN's in trouble, to be honest. They receive a lot of money still from, Nintendo and Sony and still, maybe even Microsoft, and that's what keeps their doors open. It's not their writing or their clicks that keep their doors open. It's it's places like Sony, like Nintendo, that keep their doors open.
Mm-hmm. But then you look at other outlets like, let's say, Kotaku, for example. They've run into issues the past few months. They've had different writers leave. Talk about just I know things aren't as well as they seem over there. There's a few outlets that aren't doing too well right now that you may see drop off as well. And that's just that's just how things go. Everything changes so quickly with digital.
It's funny how we're going to talk about one topic and then we get into subtopics, a slew of subtopics. And
Jeremy, it sprawls into others, right? Because we talk about magazines and then we go on to other media because it all affects each other, right? The different transitions.
Web.
Yeah. But either way, it's a shame to see OXM go the way that it did. It had a good run. I'll say that, and they definitely had some good points to them, but it's just a sign of the times, right, guys?
Yeah.
All right, fellas. We will move on to what will be our last topic of the evening, and after quite a few leaks and rumors, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered has finally been announced, and it is available to download, but only for the PlayStation 4. And it is a timed exclusive until April 30th, and then it will be made available for Xbox One and PC. Now, how do you guys feel about this? As Xbox used to be known for its timed deals with Call of Duty content, but it was never a campaign remaster. It was only DLC maps and such.
Yeah, they're getting killed when it comes to this. They need to do something that, even if it's a timed monthly exclusive, I think it hurts Xbox for sure. I mean, imagine you have two systems, okay, and you want to play with your buddies, and that's the only time you can play it is a month before on the PlayStation. You're gonna get it for the PlayStation. Xbox is not gonna sell software, so and it's another reason to own a PlayStation. So I think it definitely hurts. I think Xbox needs to do something. You see all the other companies doing it. You see Epic doing their deals, bringing in some, just all-star caliber teams to work with them and titles. Well, we don't know the titles yet, but and then you can go down the line with Nintendo has their games, and then Sony has theirs, and now some of these deals, it just hurts Xbox in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, first of all, it was just the news just came it was only announced a few days ago, and then it's suddenly available now. Apparently, the game was ready years ago, but they just chose to release it now. They're just waiting for the right time for it, and I guess since everybody has a lot of time on their hands, it's the perfect time to release it.
I do find it interesting how they released it now. They're gonna rake in some serious cash in the process.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
It's like the worst remaster. It doesn't have anything except the campaign, and even that, I don't think they did too much of an overhaul.
But it's still a title that people want, no matter how you cut it. You know what I mean? So
yes, what's exclusive right now is you can go and play the Spec Ops and multiplayer of that game with the Xbox One right now.
Oh, with the
backwards compatibility.
But it's not the same, man.
Is a 30-day difference that big enough a deal of me to want?
Especially with everything dropping this month.
It is. To me, it is.
So my take is that it's a smart business move. Phil, he genuinely feels that taking away content or DLC is not a good practice, but sometimes you got to get with the times, and this is the type of thing that it hits the underbelly of Microsoft. It's a smart business move that's gonna attract customers, and it's gonna detract customers on your platform. So what the answer is that maybe he should just step back or roll back some of his comments and do some of these deals, because that's just what happens in the industry. If you wanna have a real surefire way of getting people to look at your console and look away from another console in a highly competitive field, whether we like it or want to pretend or not, this is one way to do it. Sony does it the best.
Well, I do appreciate them being aggressive for this kind of content, but at the same time, I do really like Phil's take, not like making anything like not nickel and diming for just little DLC packs and such. But at the same time, it's on one console, one place for an entire month as soon as it gets released. And this isn't just a small piece of content. This is a pretty significant remastered game that just came out of nowhere that got announced. And at the
you look at every Call of Duty that's ever been released, and without even, I mean, they sell over 10 million copies every time they release a game. And it doesn't matter what kind of game it is. It doesn't matter if it's a remastered version. It just does really well, and these kind of games hurt.
Absolutely. Now, I know it got brought up a little bit earlier on, but what do you guys think of just it being campaign, just the campaign alone? Because there's no Spec Ops. I used to play the Spec Ops mode with my buddies back in the day. It was a lot of fun. Or the multiplayer. I mean, they did comment that some of the classic maps will be going into Modern Warfare, the new Modern Warfare, I should say, into the new season that they have. But otherwise, it's just like a 6-hour campaign remastered. Like, how much is it actually? I don't know off the top of my head.
$19.99, right?
I mean, that's not
Sure.
if it's $19.99, that's not the worst that I've seen something like that for. But I mean, still, just for the campaign alone, like I would hope that they would add Spec Ops in or the multiplayer at some point, because it just seems like they're missing out a bit, because they did something similar with they seem to do, Activision seems to do some weird stuff with Call of Duty, like with the Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the first one that they did the remaster for. They held back some map packs, and you would think that everything would have been included for free, but they ended up charging an extra $10 for remastered map packs. So,
has anybody played the new Call of Duty the alleged free one?
No.
Warzone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many map does it go through the entire series of maps that Call of Duty has, or is it just
Warzone's is the battle royale?
Okay, so it's that big giant map. But what I'm saying is, can you also play the other maps included in that?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Jeremy, because right now for a limited time they've added a mode where you can sample. You can sample for free a couple of modes and a couple of the maps, like Shoot House and Atlas Superstore, if I'm not mistaken. Just for a limited time, but that's still kind of cool.
I've only played one game. If you guys are free tonight, let's play. By the way, we're talking about let's play a match.
I gotta get up in 6 hours. So
in an hour.
Yeah, I just wanted to say before I get going, one of the things modern, this deal was supposedly done, and this was part of their exclusivity deal that was way back when. If you remember, they had that real ironclad exclusivity deal for 3 games. I think this was part of that, and that's why you're seeing it now. And the reason why you're not seeing it in the full, its full makeup is because it's just something that they had in the wood. They had just waiting around, and they figured, hey, let's just put it out there. And I don't know if this is going to continue with Call of Duty. I don't think it's going to be this. I don't think you're going to see this much more, though. I don't think you're going to see this route, and at least I hope you don't, because if you see stuff like this, or like Gran Turismo, GTA 6 do this, that's going to really be a shitty thing for a platform, for people who like Xbox.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, was this the game that everyone was looking forward to? Like, it was announced way back when? Because for me, it wasn't even on my radar. And like, I think you gentlemen made excellent points, but I can care less because I have so many games to play right now.
Well, so no, they just dropped it like a couple of days ago, if not last week, and it just kind of came out of the blue. It was, it was rated like a long time ago. It came through like certain rating boards, so people knew it was coming, but nobody, like Activision, never talked about it, and then all of a sudden, bam. It was.
Have you noticed when some of these games that get dropped just out of the blue, out of nowhere, just do a lot better in general, as opposed to the ones that kind of just have been in the waiting wings for a long time? I don't know. Just
See, that's why I've been kind of quiet and in the background. I'm with Megatron. As soon as I saw this, I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Mhm.
And then when I found out it was a PlayStation exclusive for a month, look, even if I was like right now with the mindset I have, I wouldn't buy a PlayStation for there is way better reasons to buy a PlayStation than this game.
Maybe there's something to that, Jeremy, because you know how games, you build up hype, you got this huge launch date, and then you got all this negative this, and people are just Twitter goes crazy. Maybe
it doesn't get killed in the media.
Yeah, maybe it's an advantage to it. Maybe just we're gonna let you know about maybe 60 days tops of the game that's coming out, and we'll do the press. Yeah, maybe better. Yeah, maybe it's better off. Who knows, man? Some of this shit is real toxic. You see this stuff on Twitter. Some of the stuff that Tim goes on, I would pay for some of that stuff to watch. It's so entertaining that I just sit back and I'm eating my lunch or my first thing in the morning, my breakfast.
Oh, you can see. I see some of the negative stuff that came out with Bleeding Edge. It got killed basically, and
I enjoyed what I played in that game so far. I've only played 3 rounds, but when you get a good team going, to me that game is awesome. It's extremely fun.
I think it got killed for the wrong reasons. I think people trying to say that this game was something that it wasn't. It was a passion project that they weren't even going to do if Microsoft said don't do it. You've seen what they showed with Hellblade 2. That's just shut people up. But people are they're very thirsty to hate on Xbox because Xbox kind of been kicking their ass for the last couple of months with the next generation news, and anything to jump on Xbox is like, it's taken and taken to the upteenth extreme. But I mean, for the overall with Bleeding Edge, it's a game they're gonna just keep growing, and it's it'll have its niche play people playing it, but again, it shouldn't be hated on. It's just another game that if Microsoft was being cheap, they would have said no. Don't make it. But instead, we're going to get a game, and you're also going to get Hellblade, and you're going to get Project
Mara.
I believe.
I can't wait for that game.
Well. So.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I have no problem with a game like Bleeding Edge existing. I think it's a very interesting IP, and I hope it does well, and I hope it improves and adds more content, because that's where I think it definitely lacks at the moment. But it could definitely turn into a very niche type of a game, and it's definitely, with it being in Game Pass, it definitely helps. It's going to survive a lot longer, and I really hope that it does develop a strong community. But
where have I heard that it needs content? Oh, Sea of Thieves. That's right.
I was hoping we were going to bring that up.
If I had to nitpick, that would be mine. But just hating on the game for the sake of it is not doing the game any justice.
Yeah.
Well, Sea of Thieves went to Steam because of everyone wants to play Sea of Thieves. Almost over 12 million played it, so it's a nice pickup of Steam to get it. So
I heard the new DLC was pretty good too, by the way.
Yeah,
that's why you guys are playing it, right? Oh yeah, that's right. You guys are playing it.
Doesn't matter, but it's still being played. 12 million people speaks for itself.
So you said 12 million, Tim, like last year. So it hasn't grown since then.
No, I said it was 9 million last year, and then
I'm just giving you
shit. But come on,
just giving you shit.
The game has definitely its share of fans. Whether it was, what we wanted or not, that's another thing. But it's still popular.
Definitely. Let's see. Anybody in the chat? How are you guys liking Bleeding Edge? Is it? Any of you keeping up with it still? Anybody still playing it since it's been released? Definitely let us know. Or has anybody been checking out the Sea of Thieves content?
Just no say. Keep hating, Downer. I think he's talking to you. That energy.
I did play a Bleeding Edge on xCloud. So, and it ran pretty good actually. So
Yeah, I thought that was interesting that they did that too.
yeah.
So, I think that's going to be a sign of the times. I think you're going to get xCloud releases once they get xCloud up and running. You're going to get xCloud release day and date or very close to when these new games come out. And another thing, there was an article written by Kevin Mufane, I think his name is, from Forbes. And that article was actually sent to me from some people at Microsoft saying, this guy gets it, where it really talks about how xCloud is, it's not to be meant as it's meant to be played with in conjunction. They're both working with each other. They're not, the one playing one doesn't mean that you don't have the other at your, disposal. They're just both different. They're just the way you get taking your game and playing it somewhere else. They're not, replacing each other or one's replacing another. It's not to be looked at like that. And with xCloud, I'm hoping that they get more iPhone games. I don't know what's going on there. They just have the Halo, and that's been shut up about. So I don't know if that's just going to be a one-time thing. But the Android support's very good. To get Bleeding Edge that fast onto xCloud, I think is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. I still never got my Android invite.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have all three different parts of the ecosystem, everyone playing as one at the same time for E3 as a demonstration. I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, I wish we were at E3.
Well, when I played from Bleeding Edge, there was hardly any lag, and it was just a good experience. I had a good experience with it, so I had fun.
I haven't tried any multiplayer games yet for xCloud yet. It's been mainly just regular side scrollers and something that I can pick up and play really quick because of my job. But eventually, so.
Have you been playing Ori on it?
No, that's been all 4K 65-inch right here, man, in all its glory.
Well, you can't play Will-O-Wisp, but you can play the original Ori.
Oh, I'll check that out then. I'll check it out.
Oh yeah. Well, guys, I think on that note, we're gonna cap off tonight's show, and pretty good show. And again, I can't say this enough about this each show, but thank you to everyone that came out to watch the show tonight. Your time spent with us is always greatly appreciated. And hey, if you haven't already done so, then share this episode out, give it a like, and leave a comment after the show telling us how much you disagree with Jeremy. Let's see. Again, a major thank you to people like Dreadpool, iMill, Z Black Rider. Who else do we have here? We got a lot. We had a lot of awesome people join us tonight. Shizno Elite, Diego was here, 9 Lives, and Logic Wins, Jay the Graphic God. Thank you very much, guys, for joining in. Nikub, thank you very much. We always appreciate your support. And guys, we're going to roll out now with the outros. Centurion Man, wicked show tonight. Where can everybody find you?
Well, you guys can always find me hanging around on YouTube, Twitter, and Xbox Live at Centurion1307. You can also find me kicking it with you guys right here on TXR on Sundays, and I also do the Shop Podcast on Saturdays.
So, Centurion, you said exclusively last week that since you had all this free time on your hand that you're going to be dropping some of your content. Where's that content? Thank you for playing, Centurion.
Thanks. Wow.
Well, don't worry, guys. He'll definitely have content.
No, yeah, definitely. It's kind of funny how things roll for me. I was worried about getting laid off. And instead, I ended up working so much that, I've just been playing games, okay?
Make a video, Jeremy.
It's all good.
I guess you're allowed to do that right now, so no worries, man. But we are definitely looking forward to more content from you. You are an awesome part of the community, to say the least. Love your channel. But yeah, we'll move right along here. Shockman, I know you want to get a beer in your hand soon. Where can everybody follow you?
You're muted, Shock.
And Shock's not here right now. Okay, we'll just move on to Megatron, buddy, since your mic's not muted. Again, it was great having you on the show tonight. Glad to have you back. Where can everybody follow you?
As always, man, same thing. Megatron_1975 on Twitter. You can hit me up on Xbox Live. My gamer tag is Megatron1, and I'm going to be finishing up this Ori hopefully later on tonight. And yeah, feel free to message me. Thank everybody for coming. You know, this is like a new world we're living in, and I'm glad everyone is doing well and keeping their heads above water and being safe. So yeah, hit me up anytime. Even if you want to talk about anything, hit me up. I don't care. Personal things, just like if you're freaking out over this whole thing, you need somebody to talk to, hit me up. You know, shit's crazy out there.
Huh? You heard the man. Hit him up. Definitely get a party started after the show on Xbox Live. All right. Tim Dog, great show, my man. Where can everybody follow you at?
You can follow me, xCloud Tim Dog, on Twitter and also on Xbox. You can also find me here every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and RDX on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for everyone for showing up, and hopefully we get through all this together, because it's going to be a little bit more of trying times, but we'll be here, and hopefully be talking some more Xbox, some more good news on that front this week and weeks to come.
Absolutely. Things may be a little bumpy, but hey, you got us along for the ride, so no worries on that front with the gaming news. And Jeremy, buddy, good show. Where can everybody follow you?
Well, I'm not going to say where people can follow me, but I will say that I hope everybody is well, everybody is good, and just some kind of inspirational words. Guys, don't lose hope. Because I think when people lose hope, you kind of watch them die a slow death, and I hope that's not the people here or on this panel. Anybody who has struggled, kind of to plant their feet on the ground, knows that life can be hard, and that's what makes it worth living sometimes, or all the time. But I know it can be overwhelming, and I know some of you are overwhelmed right now. But I just want to tell people to hang in there and to never lose hope. So,
good words,
well
my
said,
man.
Sir, well said.
Yeah, absolutely. Shock, you back with us?
Yep. Sorry, I had a call. Okay. Thanks for stopping by. Again, you can find me at Shock Nero. And Twitter at Shock
is token up and buzzing out.
Sorry, Shock. That's kind of funny. Shock, do you have anything more to add, or are you good?
He just picked up his Papa John's off the front step.
No.
So what are you trying to do to get some beer?
You're going to get loaded tonight.
Sound like you made it happen, so let's
All right. And of course, we'll just let Shock go. All right, guys. Of course, I'm Invader Gaming. You guys can follow me on my channel, Invader Gaming, for YouTube. And of course, I'm always active on Twitter at Invader_1986. Awesome show, everyone. Again, everybody, thanks for tuning in the chat. Keep safe. And hey, you know what? We cannot wait to talk to you next Sunday. And yeah, we hope to have you all with us next Sunday. So take care, and be sure to send me lots of birthday beats tomorrow morning.
Oh, birthday, yeah. Happy birthday early.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, big 3-0. But
this is how I always find out about everybody's birthday is at the last minute.
No worries, buddy. The big 3-4. Yep. But on that note, guys, have a good night. See you later.
Yep. Be safe.